Karine, question on the big election topic, transgender rights. Former Governor Nikki Haley and presidential candidate says, quote, "The idea that we have biological boys playing in girls' sports, it is the women's issue of our time." Does the president agree that this is a women's rights issue?
So we've talked about this many times. This is the Title IX specifically. And again, we've talked about this multiple times. It's a complicated issue, and there are a wide range of views on this. The Department of Education proposed a rule, as you know, that gives schools the flexibility to establish their own athletics policies. And so while establishing guardrails, right, to prevent discrimination against transgender kids. And that is something that is incredibly important that the president wants to make sure that we also do that as well. So I'm just not going to get ahead of that. As I said, there's a proposed rule Title IX, on Title IX that the Department of Education has laid out. So I'm just not going to get ahead of that as it relates to the Department of Education.
Daughters, does he care that girls are allowed to compete in sports without fear of injury? Does he think it's fair for girls to have to compete against biological males? I
just answered the question. It is a complicated issue. It is truly a complicated issue with a wide range of views, There is no yes or no answer to this. It is complicated. There's a rule that the Department of Education has put forward, and we're going to let that process move forward. It is, again, we want to make sure that while we establish guardrails with this rule, that we also prevent discrimination as well against transgender kids. But again, a complicated issue with a wide range of views, and we respect that. Okay.
In fact, there is medical evidence that we do not have. There is evidence that we do not have widespread socially created phenomena of transgender self-identification. One June 2019 paper published in Translational Andrology and Neurology was entitled Demographic and Temporal Trends in Transgender Identities and Gender-Confirming Surgery. And this highlighted that it is indeed true that more people living in this country are identifying as transgender or gender non-binary. But they note that the wider medical literature attributes this increase to better survey methods, greater social acceptance and visibility, rather than any societal changes that have increased the actual rate of transgender self-identification. The data show that trans and non-binary young people identify as such when they are relatively young age. And the authors noted that these findings were consistent across age groups. And the report suggests that growing trans and non-binary prevalence are attributed to increasing awareness, acceptance, and self-reporting rather than an actual increase in prevalence. And there's a recent study, I believe, in the journal Pediatrics, which also highlights this fact with different types of data. There is evidence that we do not have widespread socially created phenomena of transgender self-identification. And this highlighted that it is indeed true that more people living in this country are identifying as transgender or gender non-binary. But they note that the wider medical literature attributes this increase to better survey methods, greater social acceptance and visibility, rather than any societal changes that have increased the actual rate of transgender self-identification. And the report suggests that growing trans and non-binary prevalence are attributed to increasing awareness, acceptance, and self-reporting rather than an actual increase in prevalence.